This used to happen to me quite often when I was younger, but lately I had different experiences. To start with, I would like to say this is all true. Everything I write here is fact, and you do not have to believe me. The first time I remember anything happening was when I was about 3 or 4 years old. My parents had guests over, and they were sitting outside in the lapa, which is a type of glass-rooted patio thing that we had in South Africa, and I was playing in the living room. While I was playing with my Legos, the light started to dim. This was before the dimmer switches, and I got a strong feeling of nausea. Naturally, I was freaked out, so I bolted for the back door and onto the porch. Right at the edge of the porch, I came to a sudden halt as something landed on my face. I don't remember seeing anything at all, as in everything went black. But I could feel though, it felt like the legs of a large spider were moving around on my face. This sensation was accompanied by the inability to move at all. The little legs found my lips and forced my mouth open with a gentle but undeniable force, and I felt the legs moving into my mouth and throat. Suddenly the legs were gone, and my body kept on running to my mum as if it had just been frozen. Strangely though, I was calm by the time I reached my mother, and I merely started playing with the dogs while the adults talked. After this time, I started having a recurring nightmare. I was sitting alone in the middle of my parents' bed, but the room was far bigger than I could remember. The feeling of blind panic and nausea would hit me just before a large leopard stalked in through the door. Only this leopard's limbs were all wrong, too long and too muscular, with no tail and a strange elongated head. This creature would calmly walk towards me, and as it neared, I would fade into a different scene. My body was no longer there. I would wake up screaming, and my parents would come running. This happened almost every night up to when I was 13. While all this was going on, I remember that one night while lying in my bed, I was awakened by a strange presence. My eyes opened quickly and I saw a small creature standing by my bed. It had my hand held in one of its little hands, stroking it with the other. This creature was covered in a thick brown fur and built like a tiny human. Short claws sprouted from its fingers, and its face was made up of a wide mouth, no nose, and two very large eyes, deep green eyes. It noticed that I had awakened and proceeded to pull at me, trying to pull me from my bed. I screamed in terror and panic as I fought back until I heard the heavy footsteps of my father rush into my room. The creature bolted into the shadows as my father came into the room. The dream stopped on my 13th birthday, and I started to regain a sort of normal sleeping pattern. This was until the experiences started some months later. I would wake in the dead of the night, drenched in cold sweat and with an uneasy feeling in the pit of my stomach. This would be followed by the sound of my bedroom door opening and the sensation of something light coming to sit on me as I lay there. I always slept facing the wall, and when this started happening I lacked the courage to open my eyes, much less turn around. This experience would last for a few minutes before the presence would get up and leave. I would immediately feel its absence and switch on my bedside lamp to look at the spot where I felt it. It had left the spot on my duvet smooth, like the mark you make from sitting on a made-up bed. I remember it becoming a very frequent event, and I tried to rationalize it, so I decided that it must have been my guardian angel, because at the time I was religious. The visitations came to a climax one night when I woke to the sound of my door opening in the night, and the presence returned to its perch atop of me. But this night it was followed by something big. This thing walked through my room, and its footsteps sounded like trees falling down. My father was a big guy, but I knew the weight behind the sound of his footsteps, and this was easily 3 or 4 times heavier. This thing stomped to my closet. It pulled one of its doors off its hinges and proceeded to scour all my clothes across the room before stomping back out of the room. My angel followed it out of the room, and I fell asleep crying into my pillow. The next day I demanded to see a priest. My mother found a priest that apparently had experiences in dealing with demons. The priest and I talked for a while, and eventually it came to the topic of my angel. I told him what happened and how it would make me feel, and he told me that it was no angel. Angels do not go out of their way to scare you. He then prayed for me and taught me how to bless my room, and said if they returned again I should command them to leave. That night I got my chance. My door opened as usual, and the being came to its perch. I mustered what courage I could and told it to be gone and never return. I felt it turn atop me as if to observe what was going on, and I felt my courage grow. I repeated my command with more steel in my voice, and I could feel the being get off me. That's when I sat up and shouted at it to leave me alone once and for all. It left quickly, and I was sitting alone in my room until one of my parents came in to ask if I was okay. I was better than okay. I was victorious and free. For several nights after I banished my angel, I could hear a mournful singing come from the hall outside my room. Bolstered by my recent victory, I strutted from my room and stood in the hallway listening. The song was beautiful, but to this day I have never heard nothing more mournful. The darkness seemed deeper at the end of the hall, and I felt my resolve weaken as it grew to swallow more and more of the hallway. I turned and ran to the other end of the hallway, to my parents' bedroom and burst in just as the darkness engulfed the whole hall. The singing was much closer now, but it was unable to follow through the doorway. I woke my father and told him someone was in the house. He got his gun and went to investigate. The darkness had stopped singing when I started waking my father. I went with him out into the house, and the darkness retreated as we approached. Naturally, he found no signs of people in the house apart from us. This was the last time I saw or heard my angel. Since then, fresh terrors have visited me and even attacked friends of mine. I still fear the dark. I know my angel was just at the edges of my control, just waiting to get a chance to return.